and head over to the CNMI where Tomas Manglotnia is standing by in the governor's weekly press conference.
First of all is preparedness. Second one is partnerships. And the third is promoting a networked region. And all of those priorities come together in the CNMI. You know, my boss, Admiral Aquilino, is the commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, and he leads the U.S. military's effort to keep peace in the region. And that's a region that stretches from the west coast of the United States to the India-Pakistan border and north to the Arctic and south to Antarctica. And he commands over 380,000 Marines, soldiers, sailors, airmen, Coast Guardsmen, and Guardians, as the members of our newly formed Space Force are called. So many of you are aware that about a month ago, Admiral Aquilino paid a visit to Saipan, Tinian, and Guam, where he emphasized that defending the ground that he was standing on, our homeland, is his top priority. And he presided with some of the leaders on the show today at the groundbreaking of a major U.S. Air Force project on Tinian. And a couple of weeks later, while testifying on the floor of the U.S. Senate in Washington, D.C. in front of the Armed Services Committee, he emphasized not once, but twice, the important role our facilities and training on Tinian play in support of our national security, not only today, but as many of you have pointed out, for the next generation and beyond. So on behalf of Admiral Aquilino, I have the privilege of working with the agencies, leaders, and stakeholders of the CNMI to enhance our training and facilities. And as we do so, our goal is to strike the right balance among our four obligations, and that's protecting natural and cultural resources, lessening and mitigating training impacts, improving economic opportunity, and advancing national security interests. I've been honored to learn from some of you that we have a responsibility. As is said, the responsibility is to make good. And therefore, as we move forward in our discussions, our team will do so in a manner that shows a deep respect for the land, people, and culture of the CNMI. So thanks for that opportunity to open up, and I look forward to today's conversation.
All right, General, thank you again for making time for us and also for sharing with our community out there. We also have the Honorable Mayor of Tinian on with us, Mr. Edwin Odon. Mayor, can you go ahead and share a few words with us and then also with our media partners?
Well, thank you, Gary, and thank you for having me on this show today. I just wanted to extend also thank you to the governor, members of the leadership of Tinian, General Mark Hashimoto, and your staff for continuing to dialogue on this very sensitive issue for our island. It's been a long journey from 2015 when we started, but here we are at a more open dialogue and more meaningful, and having the big ears to listen to our people, listen to our concerns. So that we have brought out during all the course of our meetings and our stakeholders. Thank you, General, again for the opportunity. We're just a small island, but at the same time, again, is home 2,000 live here for their lives. I wanted to express my sincere appreciation. I hope that down the line we can continue together and for the island.
Right. Mayor, your feed is broken up. I think you're losing strength there in your Wi-Fi. Can you have one of your folks check on it, and we'll come back to you later? And we'll go to the governor's conference room at this time. Governor, it's hard for us to see who's there in the conference room. If you can just go ahead and ask somebody to share their sentiments. State your name, please.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Mayor Ben Santos.
Good morning, Gary.
Morning, Mr. Mayor.
and our DOD partners. I just want to say thank you for you guys for allowing us. I know that I met somebody and they was telling me that the military is trying to, pull out from Pagan Island. And I just want to say thank you for giving us opportunity to try and develop that island for our people of the CNMI. Thank you so much. And also I want to thank the governor.
Coming in broken.
Yeah, you're still coming in broken.
Good morning, Gary. You can hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Go ahead, Mayor Santos.
Just want to say good morning and also thank you for the governor for helping me on this military plan for the island of Pagan. And also I want to thank the DOD partners for, pulling out from Pagan Island and giving us opportunity to develop that island for our people of the Northern Island and also the CNMI. Thank you very much.
All right, Governor, is somebody else you wanted to get on the horn this morning?
Well, Gary, there's a lot of discussions here. I mean, we can go down the things that the long relationship that we've had, the challenges. So I'm not sure how you want to go about it, but just on the outset, I remember writing a letter on behalf of the leadership of Tinian and CPA opposing the divert airfield to be placed here in Saipan. And I remember a letter coming back and saying, well, how about we have a hybrid idea where we do a little bit of Saipan and a little bit of Tinian. And then a stronger letter came out and said, no, we don't want anything here in Saipan. We want it in Tinian. And if the DOD want a divert airfield, it will be on Tinian. So that letter was pretty strong. It came back out, and a few months later, we worked on it and signed a programmatic agreement on it. And now that project is on its way. Of course, there's a lot of people to thank on that project. Chairman Kim, Allison Sands. I mean, there's everyone that have worked so hard. We worked on 902 Talk the last 8 years, so to speak. We continue to echo those concerns. I have met with 3 different commanders of Indo-Pacific, from Harry Harrison Jr., who later became an ambassador to South Korea, Philip Davidson, and then now Commander John Aquilino. And all those commanders have worked closely here in the CNMI, as well as CRM Betty Boulevard, Shoshana Chatfield, and then John Minoni, and then of course now with Ben Nicholson. Even in the deputy, the first one that I've worked on was who's retired now, Anthony Crutchfield, and then Brian Fenton, and then Minihan, Susie Verslam, and now we have Mark Hashimoto. So we have all of these folks that have worked throughout the years. And the one thing that we've always emphasized is our culture, our environment, our land. At the end of the day, we also emphasize that we see our children, our graduates, our men and women, mothers and fathers, who not just enroll and enlist after high school, but has gone through a life-changing career. And now we have Eleanor Kim Schneider, who's back representing DOD as a native of Tinian. So, there's a lot of things that have transpired, but we have never changed and wavered our position in making sure that our land and our culture is respected, environment, but at the same time, moving forward in providing assistance and being partnered with DOD with respect to our national security. I mean, imagine this. One of the biggest one is taking Pagan completely off from the proposal. I mean, imagine that. And that was a big project proposal since the early days of CJMT. Restricted airspace. I mean, that's another one. Commercial airlines, our tourist MVA had a stake on that. It's going to cost millions of dollars, not just to the airline, but hundreds of millions of dollars to the CNMI if they reroute commercial airlines coming in from all over. It affects our fishermen, the way of life. So there's a lot of things that have changed. And one thing that I want to echo, the relationship that we've had with DOD. I cannot thank them enough through various leadership, and one leadership showed a strong foundation for the next one. And so with Mark Hashimoto being in the helm today, I want to also thank you, of course, our Commander John Aquilino, CPA. I mean, everybody has worked so hard to move forward in providing national security, as well as, again, protecting our environment and our culture here. So again, thank you. And maybe Mayor or our partners at DOD want to elaborate more on some of the changes, but maybe I'll ask Kim, CPA Chair, to say a few words, because she also has played a great role, not just as a native daughter of Tinian, but as a chairperson of CPA.
Chairwoman, you have the floor.
Tiro, good morning, CNMI. Thank you, Gary, and thank you, Gordon, for giving us this opportunity to, to share what I think is epic news for our community. As you all know, we've been having these discussions for a very long time, and our position has always remained steadfast, which is, we don't mind training, but we definitely mind certain types of training, right? And so just from a Tinian perspective, I wear multiple hats. Throughout this process, I've been the attorney for the municipality, but I've also been the chairperson leading some of the negotiations as it relates to the divert activity. And throughout these discussions with DOD, is this push for them to kind of understand that, hey, we gave up a huge, we gave up 2/3 of Tinian basically, and there was supposed to be a benefit to that bargain. But some of these activities that they were proposing, had a very detrimental impact, not just to the environment, but to the way that people have grown accustomed to living on Tinian. And so this is definitely welcome news. A lot of the actually not a lot, all of Tinian's red lines, as well as Pagans, have been addressed. I'll be honest, man, when the read ahead was sent out, I was scared to open up the document and to see basically what these new, this new training concept was going to look like. And I shed, some tears because this has been, a hard-fought change in direction. And so, it was very emotional for me on a personal level. I was listening to the mayor of Tinian's interview with a news outlet from Australia. And, everybody was really surprised that there's been this shift basically in paradigm with regards to just the training activities from, the original proposal to where we're at now. So now we're not looking at high hazard, there's no more high hazard impact training activities. There's no large, munitions that are going to be used. Obviously, because of safety concerns, we are going to have a serious discussion with regards to access. And so, that's still going to be an issue, but I think moving forward, given the fact that we are now, we're now at a level in the way that we communicate where I feel that people are listening, right? And not only are people listening, but they are hearing and are understanding our concerns. And so this is definitely positive news for the people of the Commonwealth, most especially for Pagan and Tinian. And I have to, give credit, a lot of credit to this governor who gave, he is the governor. And normally in these types of situations where you're dealing with the federal government and proposed federal actions within the Commonwealth, it is the governor who takes the lead. But in this situation, the governor provided, the stakeholders within this community to not only sit at the table, but to lead in these discussions. And so I think because we were all unified in terms of our position, and because the governor, gave that type of support and commitment, we are able to be here today and to be able to say, hey, let's start the slate clean and have a conversation as to what these new training proposals are going to look like. And, like they say, the devil is in the detail, but, at the very minimum, we are in a good place in our relationship with our federal partners, and that's a good thing.
All right, Governor, is there anybody else you wanted to put on before we turn it over to our media partners for their questions?
Hi, Gary. Hi, everybody.
Actually, Gary.
Hey, Matt. Morning.
Mark Hashimoto. I was wondering if I could say something at this point.
Go ahead, Matt. You have the floor.
Okay. Governor Torres and Mayor Aldan, Mayor Santos, Chairperson King Hines, thanks for those comments. I mean, you spoke. We listened and have come up with a better, more effective proposal. So, this is a model for how DoD can work with local governments for a mutual benefit. So when we were there last month, we provided that broad outline of what our proposal was to see if it was something that you would support. And as we discussed, the proposal will likely resemble a lot of the kinds of training that occurs now on Tinian. You're right, the devil is in the details, and all, the concerns and the impacts are subject to ongoing discussions. But really what it is, and some of the concept has been mentioned, but it's a modern technology-based training concept that provides realistic training for our forces. As mentioned, it's probably defined as much by what it isn't as for what it is. No activity on Pagan, no explosive munitions, so no bombs, no artillery, no tank, no mortar firing. It shouldn't significantly impact the inter-island air traffic. Doesn't envision any kind of amphibious landing ramp, which protects the coral and other sea life, and it's not going to put the entire military leased area off limits to the residents of Tinian. So we look forward to working with the CNMI agencies to continue to share alternatives, and we have a whole process that we look forward to that is part of the law, the National Environmental Policy Act. And so as we move through the process of creating a document called the Environmental Impact Statement, we want your input, because collectively, we can achieve better outcomes, and we want to work toward agreements with long-term efficacy for future generations. So thanks for letting me step in there, Gary.
Sorry about that, General. Sorry to late. But yeah, thank you. Matt, go ahead.
Hello. Good morning.
Yeah, Juanita.
Good morning. Yeah, my name is Juanita Mendiola. I'm a member of the 18th Tinian Municipal Council. And good morning, General. Thank you for joining us this morning. And first of all, I want to say that the approach that the DoD is taking this time to communicate with the community has been very welcome. And I see a lot of progress when we are discussing the preparation to go in from conceptual to actual establishment of the environmental impact studies that will be going through NEPA after they come up with a complete and concise plan for the CJMT. There is still, as you know, General Hoshimoto, we discussed it last time that we met, and also during the last meeting, I brought up the issue that establishing a clear and precise boundary for MIRC, MITT, and also we have to consider the Mariana Trench Monument under where the Presidential Antiquities Act allows the military, and the declaration for the monument allows the military full authority over areas to use the monument as military exercise zone. And now what we are presently negotiating on, the CJMT, which we are seeking to downscale from the original proposal, I feel that without a clear separation of CJMT from the other programs such as MIRC, MITT, and the monument, it's very difficult to be assured that no other activities will be allowed into the zone where CJMT program is authorized. The fact of the matter is CJMT is located right in the middle of the zones of MIRC and MITT and the monument. So it's very, very critical before we move to the next step to address this issue, because everything that's authorized under the MIRC and MITT and the monument to use the monument area as an exercise area, it defeats the purpose, and there is no even any attempt to deconflict areas without a clear boundary establishing where MIRC and MITT ends and CJMT begins. It's very difficult to be assured that none of the programs and none of the exercises authorized under MIRC and MITT will not feed into the CJMT zone. I would love to look forward to trusting the words of the military and the attempt of the military to resolve this issue, because this will greatly affect us as well. MIRC exercises authorized under MIRC and MITT is already a foregone conclusion, given due to the fact that we had very little knowledge about those programs, and they happened prior to CJMT. And that's all I'm going to say. And I look forward to truly discussing this and establishing a clear line and a relationship, a clear and precise relationship between the three programs. Thank you very much and welcome back.
Thank you, Juanita. General, did you want to chime in before we move on?
Juanita, it's great. Yeah, thank you. It's great to hear your voice. And I agree with you. The words that I focus on that you spoke, clear assurances, trying to sort out the details, as you mentioned, because, the way I think about it is a concern over loopholes, I guess is the term that I would use, that might exist because of, as you mentioned, the overlap of the Mariana Islands training and testing study area, as well as the Mariana Islands range complex. So that is absolutely something that we will focus on going forward, and I look forward to having those conversations.
Thank you very much, General.
And even your chicken is chiming in, Juanita. Matt, you have the floor.
Because do you hear the pig?
Matt, you there?
Oh, hey. Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everybody. I just wanted to just chime in and just provide maybe a partial historical basis for the conversations we're having today. There is a number of DoD activities that are happening in the CNMI. Divert being mentioned, MIT being mentioned. CJMT is one of the newer, I would say, proposals that are developed, and one that that really drove a lot of the actions that we're talking about. So in 2015, the mid-EIS came out, and during that time period with the governor as lieutenant governor, required a substantial amount of effort from the CNMI government in order to adequately review the 1,300 pages contained in that document and to respond adequately. And in that review, really highlighted a number of areas of significant concern from the CNMI agencies at the time. A lot of them being environmental, the landing beaches on Chulu, the destruction of natural resources, the habitats for the Tinian monarch, the access issues, the type of ordinances being used, bombing or related activities on Tinian, and most dramatically, the leasing of the entire island of Pagan. So from that review, from that work of the CNMI side, in looking at that document, during the comment period, there was 27,000 comments from individual people commenting on this proposal, which is more than half the population. Commenting largely in opposition to the contents of that document and the type of training that was being proposed. And so for a lot of those reasons, environmental, but primarily for the belief that the proposals being presented in that plan were not congruent with the covenant provisions, with the acquisition of land, especially the acquisition of Pagan, which would be a brand new lease, was whether or not that was in line with what the covenant was intending. And so,
okay, as in progress there, the governor's weekly press conference. There's a whole bunch of details as they kind of eked out their arrangement with the Department of Defense relative to training, types of trainings that will be and will not be allowed to be conducted in the Northern Mariana Islands. So Tomas Manglotny in that press conference. Look for more details tonight on KUAM News. It's 8:32.